All right, let's get into the Muse's latest project, the Wow Signal. This is their 10th studio project, and it is probably the biggest rollout they've pulled off in years. To launch the lead single, Be With You, Muse literally partnered with Sent into Space. Um, this is a they put a tablet up in the atmosphere and premiered the track from up there. That tells you everything about the vibe. This isn't just an album; it's a full-on concept project. It's space heavy. It's touching other dimensions and very space brain type of project. Uh, uh, and this shows that they just haven't slowed down at all. We've already gotten five singles: "Be With You," "Cryogen," "Hexagons." I think Night Shift Superstar. That's a dope one. Night Shift Superstar. Um, what else? Unraveling. Unraveling. Yeah, towards the end of the project, there track number 8. They're also kicking off a North American tour later this month with Portugal the Man. Love their work. Temper Trap. This it in this it, Learning that I had to do another deep dive into Temper Trap from back in the day. That sweet disposition. Love that joint. And Rabbit Hole, another great Temper track. So that got me on the whole Temper Trap. Um, Freaking Rabbit Hole there. Rabbit Hole, their iconic song there. Honestly, this is Muse doing what Muse does best. Everything is turned up all the way. Big theatrical moments here, glam rock swagger, a lot of disco vibes, church organs throughout the project, sprinkled throughout there. Um, I think this may be this things may sound over the top in this production, but it feels pretty accurate. If you're taking on a theme like space and space travel and the time space continuum, the music's gonna have to be over the top. You can't be subtle with it. But they even introduce some subtleties in key moments that just makes it such a well thought out body of work. It's built around the 1977 Wow Signal. This is why it's called the Wow Signal, right? So there was this. I can't remember what university it was, but like this, it might have been San Diego. Was it San Diego, Texas? I can't recall, but they had a satellite that was pointing in a particular um, area in space, and this is a ground based satellite. And usually they review the numbers the next morning, and it was just this is like 1977, so like um, you're reviewing it's always the same because pointing to like this void in space, and the numbers are always within like you know one or two I think decibels or whatever they were measuring it by. Uh, but then one night there was something, a signal that came through that was an anomaly. The next day, the scientist was reviewing it, and they were just reviewing the normal, drinking the coffee, and all. So they was like, "Wow," because that was that spike, and they still haven't been able to find it since. What was that spike? The frequency that it was transmitting at gave all kinds of. It's sort of the thing where it's like almost it would have to be an intentional, sophisticated, technologically advanced society or technology or species that was able to send this signal. I think I've heard other theories before that says like maybe it could potentially be something kind of like something some sort of signal that originated from Earth and got some distance away and been traveling for some time, and it ended up bouncing back to us. So that's a signal maybe we polluted. So it's like this is one of those things you gotta be careful if we're going to Mars or if we're going to wherever we're going to outside of space. We're looking for organic um, traces of life, and it's gonna be like, well, we have to make sure we're very sanitary in how we collect the specimens because we could be introducing, you know, the contamination into the sample, which could be the same thing in this case where the signal that we're seeing. So that's a theory. But either way, that's what the event was. It's called the Wild Signal. This is 1977, and that's why they named this project that way. And they keep the theme going. They keep that joint going. When you hear this this project, first thing you take away is you're gonna hear some glam rock. You're gonna hear some French house, maybe prog metal, synth pop laced throughout this whole thing. Sometimes all inside the same song, and somehow it works. Another thing is I love the real strings, the real choirs, the cinematic feel of the overall execution and the production. It makes it feel larger than life. It's basically space opera, if you want to call it something like that. There may be a few tracks that immediately stand out for me that you could probably check out is Hexagons. This is featuring a sound design from a movie sound engineer, and I looked him up. This is Alex von Korf. What was that movie? Shoot, did I? I didn't take a. I don't know if I took a note. But he's a sound engineer, and you can hear it in the sound effects that are not even just musical instruments, not even just ballads or strings or anything. There's like little like sound effects that are incorporated in that track there, and it's throughout the project, which you got, but it's even more pronounced on Hexagons. Night Shift Superstar. This is a disco rock powered by some French house groove. It's slick, it's urgent, ridiculously fun. Be With You starts with a haunting church style organ that explodes into this like massive electronic um, uh, rock kind of payout that you gain from that one. Somehow it still lands as a genuinely heartfelt love song. Be With You, so definitely check that one out. Hush is featuring Ellie Goulding. So this is dope. We talked about Ellie Goulding's iconic voice being such a standout that as soon as starts singing the first note, you're like, oh, I know that voice. That's what it was. And I think there was a Drake. You know, Drake had a song with Ellie Goulding that I talked about a little while ago. Um, and I have to shout out the transition between the sickness in you and I and unraveling. That was such a gorgeous moment on the project, especially because like sickness in you and I is such like it leans heavy metal, right? It leans heavy rock, and then it just like bleeds out to these little ping 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 ping, ping these pings, right? Um, and then it's like you drop a marble and it sounds like that is leading out, and then that marble effect. It's like a digital marble, like a robot marble kind of effect, like it bleeds into the very next song. This is our continuous segue, and I am a sucker for the continuous segue going. And the track is called "Unraveling" that it goes into, and "Unraveling" is such a beautiful way that it was put together and constructed. The track is called "Unraveled," and as the music is playing, as the first verse is being introduced, and then going into the chorus, the song then explodes in the chorus. Like it's like the track itself is unraveling. It's opening up. It's immaculate in total production. And to be coming in from that continuous segue of the song before, I mean, I guess that would make it something like a seven. I say you have to enjoy it together. A 8 minute track. Yeah, over 8 minutes of a track, and this is why you got to listen to the projects from top to bottom, because like you would miss stuff like that to see how it bleeds into the other. If you just got it as a single, you don't get that same sort of effect, and that is intentional. That had to be intentional, putting it together like that and laying out the track list just like that. Especially with a concept album, something like that is very important because you're painting a picture. You're telling this like narrative pretty much through the music, and pacing matters. Absolutely, placement matters on the track list. So gorgeous work they did there. I definitely think you should check out those tracks. Check out the whole thing, man. This isn't the type of stuff that is easy to consume. I would say that you need to pay attention. Sometimes you're going to be challenged. Sometimes the music is going to get your heart rushing, and then other times you just you're just let down by humanity, maybe, right? You feel the heaviness of this being such a space brained sort of project. There's definitely anxiety, there's dread running through it, but there's also curiosity and wonder. Underneath all the giant production and theatrical moments, it's really an album about reaching out, trying to connect with each other, with the unknown, with something probably bigger. This is the kind of record that you put on when you're in a creative space, when you're building something, when you're making something. Maybe you had a huge canvas and you got your first brush strokes in. You're experimenting with color. Maybe this is you're restoring furniture. You're sanding down like a old chair that you're gonna resurface it and maybe finish it off with some sort of lacquer or something like that. It is to get you in that headspace where you're in another universe where you could just like float away. You're in that zone. You're in that flow state. This is the soundtrack for flow state if you're creative and if you're building. Definitely, I recommend the experience. That will be the one. So yeah, I'm happy to report that the Wild Signal is out. Run and go listen to it. And it feels like a whole event. It feels like an event that's happening in your ears. It's not just a collection of songs. It's a world that you step into for about an hour. You got an hour, don't you?
It's challenge day.